Hey guys, Tony Denaro here. Welcome back to the channel. It has been about a week since Hycroft Mining released their Q1 2023 earnings. I finally had a minute to look through the 10Q, read through the entire thing. I'm going to go through the highlights with you really quick and talk about the upcoming shareholder vote here at the end of May. Let's get right into it. Hycroft Mining is a junior gold and silver mining company located in the northern part of Nevada. I am providing coverage on this company for viewers of my channel who have expressed an interest in this company. However, I do categorize it, as I have over the last year, as a speculative trade. This company is not actively mining. They have not been actively mining for over a year, and they currently have no revenue. Therefore, we have to consider it a speculative trade. Lots of people were interested in Hycroft a year ago when HYMC Entertainment made an investment in March 2022, running the stock price up to $3. My initial coverage on Hycroft at that time said, be patient, you got lots of time to get in this stock at a cheaper price. It's currently trading at 41 cents, as you can see here on the stock chart. I have been trading over the last year, the volatility on this stock, making profits along the way, and I currently have a small position in Hycroft at 50 cents. Would I consider buying a little bit more on weakness? We will talk about that at the end of this video. I'm going to spend a minute with you going through the 10Q in just a second, as well as talk about the upcoming proxy vote that has a reverse split proposal on it. But first, let's look at my proprietary dashboard that I have just to give you a picture of how I'm analyzing Hycroft. And what we want to see on here is a bunch of green. Costco, for example, being all green in all boxes. Hycroft, the red boxes, it is not profitable. In fact, they have no revenue. Return on equity is negative. The revenue growth rate in the bottom left is also red because they have no revenue. And in the bottom right, the insider sales box is also marked red because one of the big insiders in this company, Mudrick Capital, was selling part of their position in Q1 2023. On the bright side, green boxes, they do have plenty of cash sitting at 55 months based on their current burn rate, and the debt to equity and the current ratio, or the working capital, both also are green. The short interest on Hycroft is 8.91% with a cost to borrow average of 8%. This is not a short squeeze candidate, not by any stretch, but on the other hand, it's not being highly targeted by shorts either, so that is good news at the moment for Hycroft. Let's go through the 10Q from Hycroft that was filed on May 1st. I've read through the whole thing. There's really only the financial piece of it that we need to talk about. Starting off with the balance sheet, you'll note that cash and cash equivalents dropped $10 million from the previous quarter, currently sitting at $131.9 million. Current assets at $138 million versus current liabilities of $9 million. Pretty good shape there on the cash position and the current ratio of assets versus liabilities. On retained earnings, you can see here at the bottom accumulated deficit of negative $684 million, reflecting that continued losses on the income statement. Moving on to the income statement, and as we have been telling you was coming over the last year, now we have no revenue for the quarter that just ended. You can contrast that here on the income statement to the $9.1 million they had in the same quarter a year ago, where they were still making income from the gold and silver that they had on the leach pads. No more income for the time being for Hycroft Mine. They are just doing exploration. We have operating expenses of $11.5 million for mine site period costs, exploration and development, general and administrative, and depreciation and amortization. That gave Hycroft for Q1 2023 a GAAP earnings of negative 7 cents per share compared to negative 27 cents per share in the same period a year ago in 2022. On the statement of cash flows, we had negative 8.8 million on the net cash used in operating activities. We had 271,000 negative on the cash used by investing activities. It looks like that was from additions to property, plant, and equipment. And we had net cash used by financing activities at negative 582,000, mostly due to principal payments on debt. The cash at the beginning of the period was $175.9 million. Cash at the end of the period, $166 million. When we add up the cash on the balance sheet and the restricted cash on the balance sheet, that shows that we ended the period in March 31st at $166 million. We saw just a minute ago on the balance sheet that cash and cash equivalents of $131.9 million. That is all I got for you on the 10Q. And just to be clear, this company has no income in this previous quarter, and I don't anticipate that they will have any income for the remainder of this year. They are in a phase 2 exploration phase. So keep that in your mind as you're thinking about if you want to invest in Hycroft. It is always speculative to be investing in companies that have no income because they're going to be running down their cash. We do have this May 1st press release though from Hycroft with an update on the phase 2 drilling. The RC drill rig arrived on location at Hycroft at the late part of April, early part of May, and the core drill rig for phase 2 is expected to arrive in mid-June. They're planning on doing 5,000 meters of RC drilling and 3,500 meters of core drilling. And the new targets that they're going to be drilling on are in the unexplored land position of over 60,000 acres. What does all this mean? Well, I've got 4 or 5 other videos over the last year telling you what was going to happen with this exploration program and what is coming up next. But they need to prove out the resources that they have under the ground besides what they have in their key resource area where they have been mining. They are going to then come to us, the investors, with an updated plan that is probably going to include a new milling operation. Think spending money. And so what happens with Hycroft is still a little bit of an unknown. You've got a company that is in active exploration. They're going to be spending a little bit of money over the next coming quarters on that, drawing down their cash, no income coming in, and we have this reverse split that we're about to talk about. Let's get into that. All right, let's talk about the upcoming shareholders meeting on May 24th, 2023 for Hycroft and that proxy statement, which you should have received already if you are a shareholder of Hycroft. Your votes must be in by midnight on May 23rd. So be sure and check your mail or your email or your broker if you want to get your vote counted. Items 1 and 3 on the proxy are pretty routine. Electing 7 directors to serve on the Hycroft Board of Directors and ratifying Moss Adams LLP to serve as the independent registered public accounting firm. Item number 2 is probably going to be the one that people have the most questions about. Hycroft is wanting to amend the certificate of incorporation to effect a reverse stock split at a ratio of no less than 1-for-10 and no more than 1-for-25. Why are they doing this? Well, last year they received a notice from Nasdaq that they no longer met the eligibility requirements to remain listed on Nasdaq because the price of the stock is under $1, and they had a April deadline to get over $1, which they are now delinquent on. But as long as they do a reverse split, they have an additional 180 days, which gets them to September 30th to get in compliance with that $1 minimum bid. So if you want this company to remain listed on the Nasdaq, I would recommend that you vote for the reverse split, proposal number 2. If you're okay with it being bumped down to the OTC, to the pink sheets, then vote no on proposal number 2. I know there is always a lot of angst and worry about reverse splits, but reverse splitting is less of an evil than getting bumped down to the pink sheets. Because of the importance of staying on the Nasdaq, if proposal 2 does not pass, for me myself, if proposal 2 does not pass, I will be liquidating my entire position in Hycroft Mining. I don't want to be holding a company that is traded only on the pink sheets. Now, I do think that based on the institutional ownership listed in the proxy statement, that this is already a foregone conclusion that this is going to be a pass on all 3 items. So vote your conscience, vote whatever you need to do. There's only a small amount of retail votes that are needed to get the 50% of outstanding shares required to pass all of these proposals. If proposal number 2 is approved, the price of Hycroft would bump up if it was trading at 41 cents to either $4.10 up to about $10 or somewhere in between, depending on what ratio the board approves for that reverse split. I know that a lot of people are going to be worried that after the reverse split, the price is just going to go down. And it might, because you're dealing with a company that has no revenue. When a company has negative earnings, especially when a company has no revenue, you can expect that whatever downward trend it was on before a reverse split is probably going to continue after that reverse split. It's not necessarily anything to do with the reverse split. Reverse splits mathematically do not change anything, but keep in mind you are an investor in a company which has no revenue, and a reverse split is not going to change that. The only thing that's going to change Hycroft's price momentum is really going to be the fact that they announce that they're ready to start mining again in a year or two. There could also be some short-term momentum pops on Hycroft, and that is why I am in it at the moment. News about updates on the phase 2 drilling. Maybe they find a good discovery in their RC or core drilling, and that gets people excited and push the price up. There could also be news on the price of gold and silver out in the market that could affect positively Hycroft or negatively if gold and silver prices fall. For me, I'm trading Hycroft as a swing trade only, hoping to get in at a cheap price and be there in the trade on a good news cycle to get back out and then rinse and repeat. Wait for it to come back down, pick it up again, wait for the next good news cycle. This is a speculative trade for me. Hycroft is going to be a long game. Several years, I think, for them to finish the phase 2 drilling, to get the report out to investors and let them know what the plan is. Hopefully they decide to go forward with the project and then build that milling plant, however long that's going to take. How long does it take to build a milling plant? I'd say probably about a year, being generous. So that is my timeline for Hycroft. In my mind, they're going to have no revenue for the foreseeable future. They're going to need to spend more money on a milling plant. And I just want to be very careful about not overloading on Hycroft this early in the game. I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity to pick up Hycroft even cheaper than today's price. I am Tony Denaro. Hopefully you got some value out of this. Hit the like button and share if you did. If this is your first time here, welcome. Don't forget to buy and hold the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next video.